Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. Today, I want to talk about dating people with issues. So, I have dated many people. I'm no therapist or doctor. I'm going to make that clear right now. Um, I've got my own issues. So, normally I can spot when somebody else has got issues. Not saying that I'm like, you know, a psychiatrist. I'm just saying, like, I can normally spot out behaviors because obviously you see me hit my face. I have my own behaviors. So, some time ago, someone friended me on Facebook, and everything about that profile seemed real and honest. And she just, she had such a good show, I guess is what I could say now. I couldn't say that back then because I couldn't see it. But she put on such a good show. She kept friending me, so I finally accepted. As soon as I accepted, she messaged me and she was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I seen we had mutual friends. I'm like, okay, so we talk a little bit. We finally go out, and I met her at like a convenience store because I didn't want to meet in private. I didn't know if this was even, a real person or some crazy, serial killer or something. So we meet up, and she looked like the picture, but not quite. When people use filters and then you see them in person, you can see they used a filter. I mean, I wasn't mad, but I was kind of surprised because she did look different. See, I didn't do that. I put, just like you see me right now, birthmarks and blemishes, wrinkles, crow's feet, saggy eyes, everything. This is how I looked. I don't doctor myself up to try to get people to date me. It's like, you take it or leave it. You take it or you leave it. But we go out that night, and I noticed that she's not real clingy, but kind of clingy already. Like, when we walk, she walks very close. She talks to me like right here, but she was so nice. I overlooked normal things that normally agitate me, like when I go to Walmart and somebody gets right here. I'm like, back up. I don't like people in my personal space. I didn't do that with her. With her, I just let her do it. We hung out a few times. I can say, yes, I did notice some things, but to me it wasn't that bad. Like, in my mind, she had already told me her life story, so I knew she had been through a lot of what she said she had been through, a lot of struggles and abuse and different things. So, I knew she would have some issues. Like, I do too. I have so many issues. So finally, we start getting really close. And it's weird. It's like once you hit a level, a certain point in a relationship, then people start to show not the whole true side, but just a glance of it. Just a glance. And you're like, whoa, did that happen? And they'll be like, well, I didn't mean to. Or, no, I didn't do that. You're crazy. You're just seeing or hearing shit. Or they'll try to make you feel like you're crazy. Instead of them just telling the truth or admitting to what they've done, they'll gaslight you. They'll make you feel like you're going nuts. And that's how she was at times. But with her, there was also such a good side. I witnessed at a store one day, I witnessed her give $200 to a homeless person. You don't see people doing that. You see these people on YouTube do it, but they do it for the views. You don't see people doing that behind closed doors. We all know that. Go to church, she would just throw, hundreds in the collection plate. Just different things I seen her do that I thought was so noble and kind. I seen her go in a Burger King and buy like $60 worth of food and take it down the strip and give it to people. I never questioned, like, her, that kind part of her, I guess you could say. Like, it was so real, it felt. But then there was some days when she would be upset about something that she just, be like, F it all. And I had them days too, so I didn't judge her, you just F it all, man, I'm done. But there was another side of her that, I'll give you an example. So we're sitting at the bed, on the bed one night. She worked out of town, so she had to stay in hotel rooms a lot, right? Now, I never knew her job or went to her job or, like, knew what she did. I'd ask her, and she'd always be like, oh, well, I'm a traveling this, or I drive a truck, or I work in, what she said, like associates of something. It was something traveling though, like working out of town on job sites or in calling centers, always something where she traveled. So she didn't have like a stable home. And I never questioned, because she had money. So I assumed, that's the job she was doing because she always had this money. One night, we're sitting in a hotel room of an area that she was working in, and I had met her. It was like an hour away. I met her at the hotel. And when I got there, she was kind of all over the place. She was excited to see me. But she was like, one minute she'd be over here cleaning, the next minute she'd be over here, back and forth, just all over the place. The way she was acting, I could tell she was on something. Me being a former drug addict, normally I can spot them a mile away. You know how that is. You got that radar. Once you've done it, normally you have the radar. But I was like, hey, you all right? Are you doing it? I mean, are you doing something? Are you okay? And she was like, what do you mean? I said, are you, like, taking something? Are you okay? She said, the doctor gave me some, uppers to lose weight. I'm like, what do you mean uppers? And it was like I think it was called Adipax. It was like legal speed. And the doctors prescribe this stuff to people to help them lose weight. And I heard about it before. I'd seen it before. And I was like, well, you need to be careful with that, because that's legal speed. You got to be careful with stuff like that. I'm a former addict. I know. This shit's dangerous. You got to be careful. And the way you're acting right now, you are super jacked up. Like, she got all offended, got mad. Well, if you don't like it, you can leave. And I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to offend you, and I'm sorry. I'm just saying you're acting really geeked up. And you acting geeked up is triggering me. So maybe I will leave. So I left. Well, she calls me 5 minutes later. I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't have to be sorry. I can't be around people who are using. I'm in my own recovery, and I'm not trying to make everything out about me. I'm not asking for a pity party. If anything, I have a stupidity party, because I've done some stupid shit in my life. And I can't be around this stuff. Well, I'm not using anything in front of you. I said, that don't matter. You being affected by it, by the way you're acting, is affecting me. So we're on the phone, and we're bickering back and forth, and she's starting to show me, her angry side a little bit. Within seconds, she snaps back to, I'm sorry, this and that, please forgive me, and I didn't even think about, you're in recovery and how it affects you every day. And I'm like, look, it ain't all about me. It's about you too. I don't want you to hurt your body. I don't want you to be addicted or withdrawing. And that's because I've already dated people like that. I can't date people who are on drugs or withdrawing from drugs, because it triggers me. So no, I ain't doing that. You can call me bad if you want to. I don't care. I'm not risking my sobriety over anyone else's addiction ever again. So she seemed like she got the point. And I went back over, and of course she gave me her whole story about how she used drugs before and was using the Adipax to stay off of them. And I'm like, Adipax isn't for that. That's for weight loss. You're using the Adipax to get geeked up. Just tell the truth about it. I'm here. I'm being honest with you. Be honest with me. You're using them to get geeked up. And that's the truth. And we get into another argument. I leave again. She calls me back. Yes, you're right. I'm like, why couldn't you just say that while I was there? I'm not driving back over there. So she came to me this time. She was like, okay, I'll just tell you the whole truth. Okay. So she comes to me, and she's like, I need help. Will you please help me? And I'm like, I went through a program. I still have to go to NA meetings, AA meetings. During that time, I was still full-blown in meetings. And she was like, okay, I understand. And I'll go to meetings too. And I was like, cool, that's great. When she said that she would come with me to the meetings, that meant so much to me. Because before that moment, I'd never had nobody go with me to NA meetings or AA meetings. Nobody ever cared enough. Like, besides my parents, like dating or friends, like nobody ever went with me. They were embarrassed. You know, when you have a pain pill or a heroin addict or any kind of friend that's strung out on something, most people who are clean are embarrassed by it and they talk shit about us. I was hooked on pain pills, alcohol, um, cocaine. So, of course, the friends who were Christian or who were doing things behind closed doors but nobody knew about, they would judge me. And I was the junkie friend. But they never paid for my addiction. I never went around them when I was doing the stuff. But of course, once everybody found out, when I told them, I was the big junkie. Except for my family. They understood. Some of my family had addiction too. But she put it on thick. She was like, I support you. I'm going through it right now. If you'll help me, I'll get clean. And that was like the thing we connected on. Sobriety. And when she wanted to get clean, it just made me love her so much more. Because I was like, she's willing to do this. To have this relationship and be together for me and us, her. And that's amazing. So the next day, I took her to the clinic where I went. And they got her, in with a psychiatrist, therapist. Got her started on the program. And that was like, I was like, okay, she's for real. She's came, she signed up, she's went in, she's seen the doctor, she's got a prescription, she's for real. We go to the pharmacy, she gets her Suboxone. They gave her like 90 of them. And I'm sitting in the car, and the next thing I know, I see another car pull up beside my car. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know who these people are, why are they parked so close to us? And she's coming out the pharmacy. Because I had went in and bought some stuff and came back to the car to smoke. And I'm sitting there, and this dude's just like looking at me over and over and over. And I'm like looking back at him. And then, like I said, she comes out, she comes to the car. She's like, hold on a minute, I got to talk to my brother. I'm like, okay. The guy in the car was her brother. While I'm sitting here in the car eating my food, I look over, and I see her open the bag, hand it out to him. When you're an addict, that doesn't bother you. When you get clean, that does bother you. Especially when you spent your money helping, in your time, helping this person to get clean. And you have helped get them on a program that's hard to get in on. Because the program, the clinic that I went to, you had to do so much to get approved, to get the Suboxone. And for her to hand this brother of hers these strips of Suboxone just pissed me off. And I said, you know what? I was like, I rolled the window down. I said, what are you doing? She was like, oh, well, I owed him some money and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, don't give him your strips. If you get called in for a count, they're going to cut you. And what that means is when you go to a doctor or a clinic or whatever, they have the right to call you in for a pill count or a medicine count. And if they say they write you 90 a month and you're supposed to take 2 or 3 a day, they can call you for the middle of the month. They can call you any day of the month. And you have to bring your medicine with you. And if your medicine doesn't have the right amount that you should have left, they'll cut you on the spot. And they'll never see you again. They'll never help you again. And I stressed that to her. I'm like, if they catch you, and they will call for a count because this place is known for it. They've done it to me, they do it to everybody. You will be called for a count. She was like, I'm only giving him 10. I'm like, you need those. Don't do that. This is your sobriety we're talking about here. So we get into a big, huge argument right there. And she tells him, she's like, well, I don't want her to be mad, so I'm just going to keep him. And then he starts, well, I drove all this way, and you this, and I've got the money. I said, I thought you owed him. What do you mean he's got the money? And then he slips up and says, I've been dealing with you for 6 years, and you've never done me this way. And I'm like, 6 years? You're a dealer? You're a dealer. I know all about it. You ain't the first one I've dated. I know all about it. I've been down this road too many times. And she gets back in the car, and they leave, and she's like, that was so embarrassing. How could you do that to me? I said, you're embarrassed? You got me outside the pharmacy, arguing, after you promised me that you were going to get straight and get helped, and I take you and spend my money, my time, and then you're going to hand him off to your brother? Well, that wasn't my brother. I said, so not only are you lying about that, now that he's not your brother either. I said, I told you, I'm not tolerating all these lies. I don't lie to people like that. I tell you the truth, and you get what you get with me, the truth. If you can't do that, then we don't need to be together. So I took her back to her room, and I said, you do whatever you want with your stuff. That's yours, you do. Don't call me no more, I'm done with it. So I get in my car, and I leave. I help her get her stuff out the car. She gets to her hotel room door and starts fiddling with the key card, and she's like, I can't get the door open. Can you come open it? That's how they reel you back in. That helplessness, that helpless action of, I can't do this or whatever, and they get you. So I get out the car and I walk back up there and I take the little card and I'm click it in one time and it opens. And I'm turning around to walk off and she's, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It was my old ways and I'm an addict, you know how that is, and it clicks with me. True. You know, I went through it too. This is her first day. You know what? Okay, let's try to work this out. But no more doing this. You keep your stuff for you. Don't give it to nobody. Don't sell it to nobody. Don't do that. That's not going to help you be clean. That's just going to lead you down the same path. So later on that night, everything's, you know, like it is. We go to our NA meeting. The next day, we go to work. Well, on my lunch break, I hadn't heard from her. And I normally would pick her up back and forth because I'd found out she had rented a car, but she didn't have a car. I found out a lot of lies that she was telling me from beginning to the end. So she didn't ever call or text me, and I'm like, I wonder if she got a ride. At this point, we've been dating for a while. And I said, you know what? I don't know where this girl is, but I'm not stressing over it. So I go to a place, eat my lunch, go back to work. I tried to call her. She wouldn't answer. Finally, I get off work that evening. I go back home. Her stuff's gone. I'm like, okay, well, she must have went back to her room. Fine, I'm not chasing you. I mean, I'm not going to be, you know, crazy following you and stuff, whatever. You'll get up with me when you do. And she calls me. She's like, I'm stuck down here in a trap house, and they stole all of my Suboxone, and I need your help. Please come pick me up. And I rode with a friend home from work and all this stuff. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You stuck where? I'm like, give me the address so I can put it in my GPS. I put it in, and I realized that location is a known drug house. I'm like, why would you be there? Why would you? This area alone is like the drug area. So, you know, I had to tell her, I'm not 22, 23 no more. I don't do this mess. I don't go to places like this because I'm trying to worry about my own recovery too. I can't be in these places. Plus, if you go in these places and the law rolls up, they arrest everybody. Don't matter if you got dope or not, they arrest everybody. You can't be in them kind of places. Because if you're there, they automatically assume you're doing drugs too. And I'm like, how did you get there? She starts giving me a sob story about how she rode home with one of her co-workers and he wanted to go through and get him a little something. And I said, why didn't you just call me? I've picked you up every other day. Why wouldn't you call me? I don't know. I just figured, you know, you were I said, you've called and texted me every other day to pick you up. Why wouldn't you today? Because you wanted to go do those things. I said, if you want to live that life, go live that life. But you're not dragging me down with you, baby. That ain't happening. I'm not going down that road again. She got mad. She was like, I'm stuck here. I don't have no money. I said, where's all your money? You just had $2,000. And that was just in cash. Where's your money? Well, I gave it to him to help. I said, you are lying. Stop lying and just tell the truth. I've been an addict. I know we lie. When we're in the moment of using, we'll tell you anything.